And we return to our top story this hour. Intense diplomatic effort from Pakistan to try to bring Tehran and Washington back together to talk about ending their war and their blockades in a key waterway. Pakistan says both sides have shown willing, but no dates have been fixed. U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, just half an hour ago, warning of a restart of combat operations if Iran does not agree to a peace deal.
In the meantime, and for as long as it takes, we will maintain this blockade, successful blockade. But if Iran chooses poorly, then they will have a blockade and bombs dropping on infrastructure, power, and energy.
And we're joined by Professor Cedomir Nestorovic. He's Professor of Geopolitics at the ESSEC Business School, Asia Pacific. Welcome, Professor. Pete Hegseth there warning Iran to choose wisely. And from his speech earlier, he was saying, you cannot rebuild, you cannot reconstitute the way we can. There's been a lot of stress the last few weeks on economic pressure on the United States, but Iran facing pressure as well. More than 17,000 targets hit in a few weeks and the need to rebuild.
You're absolutely right. So I would say that this is a speech which is made mainly for the domestic opinion because Iran has shown a remarkable option for the resilience. So Iran, of course, did not win the war, but we cannot say that Iran lost the war. So in that case, we have to see what are the next options. I don't expect that Iran will bomb the American assets in the region. They will continue with the blockade until the negotiations start, and negotiations are ending successfully.
All right, but it's hardly hard pressure that's making the difference in Tehran's calculus. So Pakistan working very hard, and more recently, Chinese pressure from the foreign minister, Wang Yi, as well.
That's absolutely true. And I do believe that the Chinese pressure on Iran will grow more and more because the vessels which are affiliated to China cannot cross the strait. And in that case, they cannot get the oil which is coming from Iran. So, of course, for China, there are other alternatives to turn to Russia. But I don't expect they will do it immediately. So I do believe that they will try to put pressure on Iran in order to at least start the negotiation, which will open the Strait of Hormuz. And after that, we'll see how this truce or how this ceasefire will hold.
Well, earlier we heard, I think late in March, the China-Pakistan peace plan, which is a standard Chinese framework for any regional conflict, multiple points, stressing the usual points, de-escalate, return to negotiations. Did you see Chinese seriousness of intent to really bring these parties back to talking and away from fighting?
So far, the length of the war, which is about, let's say, 1 month and a half, is not so dramatic for China to be engaged directly in the negotiations because they have their strategic reserves and they can survive with this. But if the blockade continues to be on, in that case, probably China will have a more assertive position and a more assertive place in the negotiation table, especially concerning the de-escalation and the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. For the moment, I don't think they will be engaged directly, but in the future, definitely, if there is no ceasefire which holds.
A final question, Professor. You saw there was a lot of hope. Well, whether it was reasonable or not, there was hope that talks the last weekend in Islamabad might reach a more sustained, would achieve a more sustained peace between Iran on the one hand, the US and Israel on the other. We did not see that, but you actually see some reasons for hope after that round of peace talks. Final question.
Exactly, because what happened in Islamabad is that both sides have said that they were very close to an agreement. So it means that there is still a room for optimism. On the other side, the talks were about less than a week ago. And since that time, there was no escalation in the region. So I do believe that there is some kind of gentleman's agreement not to escalate until all the negotiation efforts have been shattered. And I don't think that they will shatter. So they will come back to the negotiation table. And in that case, as a gesture of goodwill, I expect that the United States will open the Strait of Hormuz on their side, and Iran will open it on their own side.
All right, and a delinking of issues, perhaps possibly opening the way to some red lines actually being addressed. Thanks for that, Professor Cedomir Nestorovic. He's Professor of Geopolitics at the ESSEC Business School, Asia Pacific. Thank you.